Hello, and welcome back to another video. So, this week, we are taking a look at my top 10. My top 10 Nintendo Switch games. My top 10. What could they be? What could the top 10 be? Now, these aren't all entirely in order. The top 3 are, however, by a big margin. And I'll get to that. I'll get to those. You'll notice a theme with them, but in general, not quite. I will start with some honourable mentions. 2 of them I've excluded for certain reasons. The third one is just a very cute, little, fun, stupid game. Pikuniku. Pikuniku is a lot of fun. It's just very silly. It's a cute little story about capitalism and how capitalism is bad. Which didn't explain why I bought the physical release, but here we are. Yeah, a lot of fun. It's a physics-based platformer. Not terrible. Enjoyable. That's kind of why it's in the top 10, shockingly. I don't quite know why I've popped it in here. Well, it's not obviously in the top 10, it's just an honourable mention. The only reason I don't include it is, A, there are better platformers, B, it's very short, and C, I only really found it as much fun as I put in. It's definitely a game that's more fun in multiplayer. It's otherwise just kind of painfully average. But that's Pikuniku. It's pretty good. I heartily recommend, but at the same time, go into it knowing it can be slightly annoying because it is physics-based. The next 2 I've disqualified from the ranking strictly because they are ports. They are ports to the Switch. Not that some of the games I'm about to talk about aren't ports, because they are, but yeah. And those are Bayonetta 2, which is easily my favourite Bayonetta game. I think I did the Bayonetta video, so if you haven't seen that, go watch it if I haven't done it yet. Oh, shocking. Spoilers. But yes, Bayonetta 2. I love this game. I just do. Local play. That's exciting. Has local play, which is cool. Never unlocked Father Rodan. We'll get around to it. We'll see. I love Bayonetta 2. But unfortunately, I played it on Wii U first. So, can't count it. Can't count it. In a very similar vein, we've got Bowser's Fury. Now, this is a custom cover for what is just literally Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. I'm yet to find a decent sticker, and that is the inner cover of the original cover, by the way. But yeah, had this made because it looks cool. It is cool. It's very cool. And, you know, Bowser's just a lot of fun. However, this is a Wii U game. It is Super Mario 3D World, which launched first on the Wii U. Bowser's Fury is a side mode. The only reason I have it as Bowser's Fury is because the whole mode is cool as shit, and the cover art looks amazing. So, it could be a little more centered. But, otherwise, solid game. Heartily recommend. Right, the top 10. The top 10 Switch games. Or my top 10 Switch games. This is not a definitive list. You will not be seeing Zelda on here. You will not be seeing much in the way of Mario. Mario is on here, but not much in the way of going, Super Mario Odyssey is the best Mario game. It isn't for me. I hated that. I hated it. I hate Breath of the Wild. I hated Tears of the Kingdom. I just did not like them. I could not get on with... I don't get on with what people typically go, oh yes, those are the best. Those are the best games on the Switch. You will see none of that here. But maybe 1 or 2. But in general, no. So starting off, totally accurate battle simulator. See what I mean? See what I mean? This is not a game that people go, oh yes, that's one of my favourite games on the Switch. It is, blanketly. This is one of the best local multiplayer games I have ever played. I play a mode called Horse, typically when my friends come over. We, basically, each side has an army of 1,000 points, and then if either side wins, the loser gets 1 letter of the word horse. That then increases by, I think it's either 1,000 or 2,000 to go, If someone loses twice in a row, they can wipe their army and replace it with the equivalent point value. It's awesome. It's awesome. It sounds like a complicated game, and there's a little bit of maths involved, but it does lead to fun jokes like you're a hoe and you're a whore and you're a horse. So, you know, as opposed to just a horse. But yeah, it's good. It's good. And it's because it's so... there is an element of strategy to it that just makes tabs excellent. It's so much fun. And if they ever make a sequel, which I doubt it, but if they do, if they add that in as a mode, I think it'd be great. Moving on... The only Mario game you will be seeing on this entire list. Super Mario Wonder. I played this earlier this year. It was excellent. It was so fucking fun. I will freely admit, I played it as Nabbit for a good chunk of it. I did switch over to Mario, and I went back and did levels as Mario or Luigi or Peach or whatever. And that was great. The power-ups are really cool. The world is really, really insane. It's basically like taking a crap load of drugs and then playing through a classic Mario game, only you start hallucinating that the pipes are moving or the piranha plants start singing and all sorts of absolutely insane stuff. I think the new voice actor for Mario really knocked it out of the park. You can tell it's not Charles Martinet, but that's fine. Very solid, very, very solid platformer. And I hate side-scrolling platformers in general, but this, fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Huh? Really recommend. I need to pick up some more classic Switch games like this. More like, you know, Mario Bros. Wonder and things like that. I just haven't. There are obviously a lot of Nintendo games on here. It's just, there's also some that really aren't. Speaking of, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I absolutely adored the original Hyrule Warriors. But you know what? I've done this wrong. I have done this wrong. It's not Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It's Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. And Age of Calamity. They're going to share a joint spot. So, I'm going to be honest with you. I really liked the story in this one. I think the characters in this one are done really well. I think Shez, who I named Shed, who's the main character, was actually surprisingly engaging for a character who's a mercenary. They are very well written, very well acted, both male and female. I played female just because I wanted to. I thought it'd be good to have female Byleth versus female Shed, but here we are. Solid game. Very solid game. This, by contrast, took a world of Zelda I'm genuinely interested in. This whole post-apocalyptic, horrendous event that destroyed Hyrule. And puts it in such a way where they fight back and you can unlock people like Ganon. You can unlock all of the champions. We get to see this amazing cutscene of Rivali, who is the bird guy, who's constantly on about how much better than Link he is. Yeah, he bodies Link. He bodies him. He showcases why he thinks that and his skill, and it works, and it's really cool. Even in gameplay, I think he's pretty solid. He's not my go-to. My go-to are the giant fairies. I know. They're disgusting, but that's kind of why I enjoy them. There's also the times where you're on the map and you switch out characters and that giant bulbous onion thing just comes down the corner and scares the shit out of you. Yeah, two very solid Warriors games. Couldn't really pick which went where, to be fair, but I'm leaning more with 3 Hopes, and you'll see why. Pikmin 4 at number 7. Number 7, Pikmin 4. This is about the only Pikmin game I've ever really been able to get into outside of 2, and it's the only one I've very nearly finished. So I've very nearly finished Pikmin 4. I'd play through this again in a heartbeat. I just wish it had a New Game Plus mode, where you could go back in and play as... maybe play as Olimar, maybe play as Louis, maybe play as the President. Either way, I think this game should have maybe had a New Game Plus mode. There's another game on this list that also should have had a fucking New Game Plus mode, and the fact they haven't done it yet is ridiculous. But Pikmin 4, very, very, very solid Pikmin game. I don't think I'll be able to go back and play another. To be fair, I don't think I'd be able to go back and play 1 or 3. I hate 3. I played 3 on the Wii U originally, and it was hot garbage. Even when they fixed it with 3 Deluxe, not worth playing. Pikmin 4, on the other hand, I didn't initially care for Ochi. I still think he's an annoying... He's a dog, so I don't like him by default. But he's insanely useful and crazy versatile, so it actually adds a lot. I think the Pikmin are the most balanced they've ever been. They do different stuff. It's all very good. The only thing I wish was a lot of the onions weren't locked behind some, quite frankly, arbitrary bullshit. I think you should have been able to find them in the world, and maybe there should have been more areas to explore. And I'm going to be honest with you, the only reason it's so low on this list is... what are they called? Doesn't say. But you have these Dandan or Dobon or whatever the fuck they're called battles. Those are shit. They are shit. The whole... just, yeah, awful. Awful, awful, awful. And if the game didn't have quite so many in its rear end, these fucking timed trials to get all the shit, and if you don't do it, he's like, you didn't do very well, you didn't do Dandori. Piss off. It's about the only part of that game that I think is hot crap. Otherwise, I think it's amazing. Its world exploration is great. Its exploration is its strongest asset. It's the other stuff that's a bit like, for crying out loud. A lot of the story is merely okay. They touch upon certain stuff. I like that it's a rescue operation. I think that's cool. And that lots of different people came to this planet and you have to rescue all of them. I think that's fine. The Dandori battles are okay. The Dandori missions, which are different, they're just can fuck right off. They are shit. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I'm going to beat the final boss and then I'm going to call it quits. That'll be Pikmin 4 done. Something I do want to play, all of, is I went to the arcade to try this game out. I did. I actually physically went into the arcade in the Hollywood Bowl in town. Or near town. Or outside of town. Might have been a different town altogether. Can't remember. Went there, they had the arcade machine, played it for £2 for 10 minutes, and I went, I'm getting that fucking game, and that's Cruisin' Blast. Cruisin' Blast is my favourite arcade racing game of all time. I fucking love it. It's insane. You can have a Stegosaurus, you can have a tank, you can have a UFO, a double-decker bus, a fucking fire truck. So much insane bollocks. You can drive a helicopter that can't fly, bearing in mind, just this static helicopter through these insane missions. I think its only major downside is it doesn't have online. I think if Cruisin' Blast had any kind of online mode, it would have been flat out one of the best racing games on the Switch, and I will die on that hill. It is flat out one of the best on the Switch. By contrast, number 5 had online and is amazing and is a franchise that has died immediately, and that unfortunately is ARMS. ARMS is amazing. It's so much fun. I mean, it's this bulk. It's basically Punch-Out, but at range, and it's fun. Unlike Punch-Out, Punch-Out's just pattern memorization. It's not particularly engaging. ARMS, by contrast, yeah, on board. So much fun. Min Min's a great character. She's this fucking noodle lady from China. And she's got a dragon arm, but her arms are generally made of noodles. There's a lot of backstory and lore about this game that's really interesting. I wish we'd get an ARMS 2. But to be fair, there's a few franchises that Nintendo has killed along the way. Largely because the developer it didn't sell very well, it wasn't particularly engaging. Battalion Wars is one. I'd love to see Battalion Wars 3. We never will. ARMS, I think, will be another one on that pile, along with Kid Icarus, proper F-Zero, and unfortunately, Star Fox. That being said, we had a Star Fox game on the Switch. It just happened to be tied into Starlink. Now, I'm a big fan of Starlink. I have an entire sodding box full of Starlink and multiple copies of the game anyway. But I think Starlink is probably best played on the Switch because you get that absolutely gorgeous R-Wing model when you buy the base version. And you get Star Fox content, and there's additional Star Fox content, and you can, with the free update, and just, it's so good. It's so fucking good. I will freely admit I don't play the game as Star Fox, specifically, as any of them. I should maybe play it as Fox McCloud just once, just to see. But the voice acting's really good, the characterization's really good, the lore's really interesting, gameplay's fascinating. It's basically No Man's Sky, and an open world Star Fox game exists here. It's just mired by the fact that it's also been released on Xbox and PS5. So, you know, I think... sorry, PS4. I think, personally, if Nintendo were really looking on how to make a decent Star Fox game nowadays, take that strategy element, because there is strategy here, take that strategy element and put it into a Star Fox game that's open world. So say you're like, oh, they're warning, there's a fleet coming in from the planet Venom to attack Quinaria. Oh, we'll fly in and meet it. And Starlink I love anyway. I think it's a fantastic game. It's up there with the most hours I've put into a game on the Switch. It's up there with the most hours I've put into a game on the PS4. I think it does struggle slightly under the weight of the fact that it's not a Star Fox game. I think that's a problem, but unfortunately it's a problem that can't really be rectified, which is fine. It's fine. But yeah. I mentioned earlier another game that should have had New Game Plus. And one I had bought for me this year. It's amazing. It's so fucking good. It's really got me looking at Vanillaware in a new light, and that is Unicorn Overlord. Unicorn Overlord is the definition of a passion project. So the developer, Vanillaware, have made stuff like Dragon's Crown, Odin Sphere, Muramasa the Demon Blade, Grim Grimoire. I've been meaning to pick up Grim Grimoire, but I haven't got around to it yet. I think they made something else, but I can't quite remember what it was. They've made a lot of really cool games. None I've been particularly interested in, outside of maybe Grim Grimoire, which is on my list, along with Tactics Ogre Reborn, but I'll get to those. This, though, they were like, we've only really got the money to make, like, one more game, and if it's not successful, we're going under, so we might as well just make the game we want to fucking make, and they did. And from what I'm gathering, Unicorn Overlord was insanely popular, like, crazily. It's probably one of their most successful games they've ever had, and I could not be more happy, because it's really good. It's basically an RTS RPG, and that's awesome. That's so cool. It's, you know, you play as this knight. It's the prince. He's the prince of this fallen kingdom, and you have to slowly pick apart the empire that has conquered your homeland and all four neighbouring countries. Admittedly, the fact you can take out your own homeland and take most of it straight away is kind of dumb. But at the same time, there is some choice there. There is some tactics. And the gameplay is really good. The characters are actually very compelling. The world building's really cool. I think its only downside is its main lead is about as dry as toast. He suffers from Marth syndrome, and then it's like, I'm the forgotten prince. And it's like, cool, anything else? That's my personality. Oh yeah. I think in terms of story, yeah, Unicorn Overlord is slightly let down. But I think in terms of character design, I think in terms of memorable characters, I can point out pretty much every single person on here. Some of the some less so, but I could point out the vast majority of people on here, and I'd be able to tell you where they're from, what their deal is, and what their characterization is. And it's just very good. However, the reason it's number 3 and not like number 2, is for two reasons. Number one, story's not amazing. Secondly, no new Game Plus mode to speak of at all. Which is bullshit. It is complete and utter bullshit. I want to be able to play through the story with the units I have and encounter the characters I have, but let me do that. Let me play through this game again, because I would quite. In fact, I might. I'm going to play through Unicorn Overlord again. Unicorn Overlord is just very, 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 very fucking good. It's very fucking good. I'm so happy with it. Easily, it's currently my game of the year. Unicorn Overlord is easily currently my game of the year. We'll see if that changes by the end of the year, but I'm leaning very heavily with no. So expect to see that at number one. But we'll see. The last two are tactical RPGs, and those are Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I love this game. I love this game so much. I've completed the Crimson Rose route about 3 times. I've completed Dimitri's route, and I hate him. I've completed Claude's route, and I think he's the most pointless. And I've played at least half of the Church route, and I really hate Rhea. So, 1 out of 4 isn't too bad. I think all the characters are extremely compelling. I think Fogland is easily the best continent in any tactical RPG I have ever played. It is the most comprehensive. It is the most interesting. It's got a very deep and intensive history. It took that concept of evil dragon and turned it on its head in a way that was both mature, different, and compelling. It took even like the evil crazy faction. They have point, and they've got fucking missiles, and like that's the gist. And then there's this big conspiracy by these fucking dragons to basically keep humanity on like a medieval technological level so they can never fucking fight them again. And I love that. I think it's amazing. I think it's so fucking good. And it's just so well written. I wish it had a more compelling other couple of protagonists that aren't Edelgard. I think Edelgard is great. I think she's easily the most complex lord we've had in the entire series. And the fact that this game of such heights was followed by Engage, which is one of the most vapid, boring, cheap, relentlessly unfair, miserable fucking experiences I have ever played in Fire Emblem. And bearing in mind, I've completed at least 5 of the games, and I do count Revelations, Birthright, and Conquest all as separate ones, because they are. They're all 5. There's 3 separate routes, but they're 3 separate individual games. And I've completed Awakening, and I've completed Fire Emblem Three Houses. I got through most of Engage. I was so enraged by just the cheap bullshit in the final chunk of that game. I turned it off, deleted the save, and when I went back to try and play it again, I was so miserable I sold it. I will not be buying Engage again. I will not be buying Engage again unless I can find it for like a $5, because it is a fucking travesty in comparison to Fire Emblem Three Houses. How do you go from like the peak of the series to absolute dreck shit? Also, character design better than fucking VTuber garbage. And I know it's VTuber garbage because they hired a VTuber designer to design the VTuber garbage. They all look crap, okay? The only decent character in that game is Yunaka. Fuck you. Anyway, vitriol aside for a Fire Emblem Engage, Three Houses is just... The reason that vitriol is there is because Three Houses is so good. It's one of the best tactical RPGs I've ever played. Not the best, we'll get to that. It's literally up next. But Three Houses is, for me, the best Fire Emblem game by a good margin. It's mature, it's got a very compelling series of antagonists, apart from the blatantly evil assholes. But even they have an interesting backstory and kind of everything else. The fact they have fucking working ballistic missiles is insane. But yeah, for Three Houses' only downside is its main character. Its main character is not good by any stretch of the imagination. I think making them a mute protagonist was fucking stupid. I think that actually Three Hopes did Byleth better than Three Houses did by a good margin. But the reason this is so high is just, it's so good. It's just so good. It's so good. I need to go back and play it. Maybe I should bother finishing the church route, but I'm going to be honest with you, I hate Ray so much I just don't want to. Maybe I'll play Edelgard again. We'll see. Not my favourite tactical RPG, though. Because the next one is Triangle Strategy. It's got the best music. It's got the best gameplay. It's got the best unit progression, because unlike, say, Three Houses and other Fire Emblem games, they're set in their class. But as a result, the game designers can work around that, and they can synergize every single unit that you put out onto the field, which is insane. The tactical flexibility of every unit in this game is something else. And yes, I know that Quahog breaks the game entirely, but it's got some of the most... I didn't think a game about salt and geopolitical economics could be so fucking engaging. It's absolutely mind-numbing. You've got, you know, rescue all of the countries and save them from the evil empire. A morally complex individual, an idiot, and Claude. You know, morally complicated. This is about geopolitics and salt, and it makes it interesting. It makes it interesting. The story's insane. The characters are really good, actually. They lack some depth. Three Houses certainly excels over these two. I'd say this one excels in gameplay. This one excels in character. And this one excels in overall story. And world building, actually. Though, Fodland, come on. Yeah. There's a reason Triangle Strategy is my 5th favourite game of all time. I beat it again this year. Immediately after beating Unicorn Overlord, I went straight to it again, and I went, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to play Triangle Strategy, because it's a game I want to come back to. It's a game that keeps giving. I still haven't recruited everybody. I haven't done the Cordelia missions. I've done every ending. I've got the Golden Route. I've got Avlora. I've got Maxwell. I've got Quahog. I've got Decimal. I've got all of them. There's certain units I just haven't used, but there's a New Game Plus mode, and it's great. Once you've got the New Game Plus mode, you can see... So your first playthrough will be the most interesting, because every decision you make will feel like it has a considerable amount of weight. Once you've done New Game Plus mode, you can see what choice you've made correlates to what conviction. So what your convictions are would be what you believe in most, which would be liberty, morality, and utility. So obviously utilitarianism, what's more liberating, I suppose, if you want to put it that way, and what's the moral choice, feasibly. And what's very nice about the endings is that you have 3 separate ones for each form of conviction, and then a 4th one going, they're all too extreme. They're all shit. So here's your best ending, and it's very compelling, and I really fucking love this game. Literally played it again this year, I played it last year, because they added a relatively voiced epilogue. There's a whole epilogue in there that they just went, yeah, fuck it, add it in. It's great. It's good. It's very good. I love it when games do that. That's one of the 2 Square Enix games that did that last year. The other one was Deerfield Chronicle, which added Walter Quinn and more of her. And I love Walter Quinn. She's insane. But unfortunately, Deerfield Chronicle did not make it onto this list. Anyways, guys, that is me done for another week. And let me know what your top favourite game for the Switch is in the comments below. All right? Have a good day. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Signing off.